Hi, Daniel. Right.
Hi.
You faced Oliver Glasner twice before in the Bundesliga a couple of years ago. What do you make of the job he's doing with Palace fifth at the moment?
Yes, fantastic job, not just with Crystal Palace, even before in the Bundesliga for Wolfsburg and later on for Frankfurt. Quality is always defined by performance over a long-term period. This is what Oliver is delivering right now. Also, incredible job at Crystal Palace, and fantastic manager.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin's got 4 in 4, 1 in 10 before that. Has anything changed with him that's led to this, increase in his form?
Yeah, first of all, it's important. He had, of course, lack of game time, not just in the last season, but I would say over the last couple of years, many small injuries. And right now it was crucial also to take care of him, that he stays fit, that he can train regularly. And of course, you need a few weeks also to find the belief in your body back and also the confidence in your game, and then to be in a good rhythm. And this is more or less what has happened since he walked through the door. So he has hardly missed a training session, and right now you could see more or less the rewards. It's not just after 1 or 2 weeks of proper training you deliver on the top level. You have to do this with consistency, and he works hard on the pitch, off the pitch, also in terms of preparation. Fantastic guy. He was even before, in the games before, I was quite pleased because he came in many good situations, also missed perhaps even a few chances, and right now he's got a period when he just has to watch the ball and the ball goes in, and this is the fate of a striker, and this is quite good, and long may it continue. We are all pretty fortunate and grateful that we have him in such a good shape.
And with that form, there has been talk around England. What do you make of potentially seeing him back in an England shirt, maybe in time for the World Cup perhaps?
Yes, he's done it before. Also has several caps for England. Also quite a good goal record. So his quality and his potential was and is never in doubt. It's just crucial for him. I don't give any advice or recommendations to Thomas. He knows exactly what he needs in order to be successful as the World Cup. But it's for Dominic the same like for each and every player. If you deliver with consistency, not just for a few games or for a few weeks, if you can show consistency in terms of performances over a month, then you have all chances also to be involved. And for me, he's definitely one of the best English strikers in the Premier League. And for that, also for him, there is no limit. And of course, he has a chance.
I know you've been asked a lot about the formations and the systems, but with those two who have been starting up front, Joel Perou's not had much of an opportunity. Is he still in your thoughts for Leeds at the moment?
Yes, of course. Joel is a player I really love. I spoke several times about his finishing skills. So I think his finishing skills are world class, and I'm also pretty grateful to have him with these skills and also such a great character together with us. We are a promoted side and have to make sure that we play a bit to the strength of the players. And of course, his finishing skills are also on this level outstanding. And whenever we chase a game or we are very dominant or we need to go, then I'm pretty fortunate also that I can pick him, because if I have to trust a player who finishes situation, of course, it's also like all my strikers, but Joel is outstanding in this terms. And for that, it's good to have him available. Sometimes once we are not that dominant in the game or have to make sure that we are a bit more solid, then sometimes you need perhaps a bit more pace or physicality. That's also, I think, honest to say so. But it's not like I want to change him as a player. He has to stay exactly what he does. It's just like at the moment, sometimes we have a game where we can't be that dominant, like for example in last season. And if we can do this, if we can be more dominant, then I'm pretty sure he also can be there with many end products for us, and he's still definitely in my plans and important player also for us.
I mean, is he, and I guess the other players maybe on the fringe, are they happy at the moment? Because we know PSR-wise, if you were to want to bring anyone in January, you would have to see some players leave. Would you be okay with potentially any players who aren't making it into the squad at the moment leaving in January perhaps to give you that opportunity to bring anyone in?
You have to ask the players who are not playing perhaps that much if they are happy. So I have no indication that anyone wants to leave, because the spirit, the togetherness in our group is outstanding, and it's a joy to work with them, for each and every player. Also the players who are not perhaps each and every time in the starting lineup, and you can't build a successful group when you just have 11 players. You need a proper group. I also don't believe in that the group is too big. You also need togetherness and spirit, and for that it's important that each and every player is needed, but this is also what we are proving. I think more or less each and every player has already started games for us, has minutes for us, and yeah, it's professional football, it's a Premier League. You can't just be there with players who are playing each and every game 90 minutes, or even with players who are each and every time in the starting lineup. Of course, I'm happy with this, and for me, I don't have any motivation anymore to give one member of our group away in January. Yeah, it's a market, and you always have to stay awake. If we can improve, perhaps by doing a change, then we should be open for this. But all the players who are with us at the moment are strongly in my plans, and I have no other indication. If they are 100% happy if they're not playing, I would assume no, because I can remember my times as a player. I was just happy when I played each every time 90 minutes. And I also want this attitude. So I don't want a player who is not playing, who is happy and leaning back and think, okay, right now I've got a relaxed life. Anyhow, they should all be desperate to be in the squad. They should all be desperate to be in the starting lineup and work for it. This is how you have quality and competition and training, and this is how we work. But all the players are in my plan, although my fate is also sometimes I have to choose 11 and have to disappoint more or less the same amount on each every game day, that they're not in the starting lineup. But the behavior is brilliant within the group. Otherwise, we couldn't be there with such a spirited performances over the last weeks.
Thank you.
Hi, Daniel. So it sounds like you're really happy with your players and they want to be here and everybody's fighting for each other. So on that front, if you were to add, and how difficult would it be to identify a player in the loan market compared to maybe a purchase in January?
Yes, I don't want to speak too much about January, but you know my attitude in general. I think the January market is a difficult market because there's just a limited number of players available, and especially also in January you just have more or less just 4 months left. Also, if you sign a player in the summer, you have the whole summer, the pre-season to prepare, to adapt them to the group and integrate them into the group, and that they can adapt to your style of play and to your processes is always a bit more difficult in January. And also January is a difficult market in general, because you either get a player where there is quite often a problem because he hasn't played that much or comes back from injury, or if you want a player who is in his best rhythm, then you have to spend lots of money, and very often the player is then sometimes also overpriced. So I'm especially very picky also in January, and for that you need that many things come together, that you find a good solution. But we are working on a professional level, and for that we always have to stay awake. And if we find also an addition to our group where we think, okay, it makes our group better, and in addition that is affordable, you have to be open for it and also to be ready for it. So for that you have to be prepared. That's quite important. But we can speak about January when January has arrived. So for the next game days, Crystal Palace, Sunderland, Liverpool, also Man United, it's not possible to integrate one player and to have a different player available in comparison to the players who are there right now. So for that, my whole focus is just on this group.
And in those games, you may welcome back a few senior players, which would be equally as important as a signing, I suppose. Where are we at with Sean Longstaff and Lucas Metcher? And does Dan James, do we know if he needs surgery yet?
Yes, no surgery. So thank God it's a conservative route, but we spoke about that it will still be about 8 weeks in total that he would be out before he can then return back to team training, and then let's see how quick he's and also back to full speed and that he can then join in the games. With Sean, yes, he's progressing in his rehab, also doing individual stuff on the pitch, also running stuff and also a little bit with the ball. But the first step will be for him to be reintegrated in team training, and then he needs, of course, a few training sessions to be back available. So it will last a bit. So he's not back in team training. So for that, we decided then also from game to game and from day to day Yes, and also Lucas Metzger is also out for the next game, so still a bit symptomatic. So I have the same group of players available also for this Crystal Palace game.
Can I ask you about Noah Okafor then? And we know he wants to be a left winger, that's his preferred position, but he can play down the middle. How well do you think he's developed in that role alongside Dominic?
He's also used to play in this role. For example, for Salzburg, he has played a lot. I think at this time together with Adeyemi up front, also on Champions League level, and he has delivered good performances and really good numbers. So he has also the skills, obviously, to play as a second striker, and for that, yes, he has all the abilities also to shine also in this role. It's good that he's versatile, so he can play as left winger. Has not played that often as right winger, so he prefers the left winger role or as a second striker. But there's always space for improvement, and he can fulfill different roles. So with Noah, I think it's quite good that we made this signing, and he has also had an impact with goals and also involvements in goals and assists. So for that, also important player for us in going forward.
And it is noticeable at the other end, that you have gone longer with Lucas Perry. And I think it's fair to say his distribution has been a bit erratic at times. How hard are you working with him to improve that, from his feet particularly?
Yes, we knew before that there are some challenges in his game where he needs to improve, especially because the intensity of the pressing is on Premier League level even a bit more intense and a bit higher than with all respect to our other leagues in the world, and for that he has to adapt. It's his first season in English football, and he was already out 2 times with injuries. I think it has improved and will improve as well, so needs also to improve a little bit. Something we work hard on, especially our goalkeeper coach, but also on the training pitch when he's involved also in our games. But I have to say, for me, it's also important then also the last games he was then also there with some crucial saves, and this is still more or less the main topic still for a goalkeeper. You can have a perfect number 10 in the goal, but if he never saves the ball, I would always go for the perfect goal stopper. And I think in this terms, he's shown some really good performances. Yeah, he's so tall and so good also in doing his saves. If he would be also world class with his food, then probably he wouldn't be affordable for us. In the summer, we knew that all the players that we've signed or are with us have a few challenges in their game when they have to improve. But Lucas is a very modest guy, very humble guy, very diligent guy who is putting lots of work in. And I think he has already improved. And I'm pretty sure if he goes further on like this and works further on that hard like this, he will also improve in this area. Yes.
Hi, Daniel. Just going back to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you mentioned the fact that obviously he's had more than his fair share of injuries, particularly over the last couple of years when he was at Everton. So when he first arrived here, what was the plan as far as you were concerned to make sure that he doesn't end up in that sort of spiral again, and just to make sure that he got himself into a stage where he was consistently fit and able to perform at this level?
Hard work, and also smart work. I'm not a believer in then to put a player who has an injury record into cotton wool and just let him just recover and just to be available on the for the games, because you have to build also resilience, also physical resilience. I'm always a believer in not like, okay, there is an injury record, we have to be a bit more careful. My attitude is always like, no, come on, let's work very hard with him, that he builds also this physical resistance, and also he was exactly on the same page. This is also why we were a bit careful to bring him in initially after he signed the contract, and we wanted to give him a little pre-season of 4 weeks before we involved him the first time, but also to do it in a smart way. So not like, okay, the gut feeling of a manager 20 years ago, okay, I know it also that we also are using of course, our knowledge of our medical department. We assess the players more or less every day in terms of fatigue, in terms of physical data, and also do the smart things. But my feeling is you will never develop and never progress and never build any resilience if you just recover. So hard work is for me always the answer, and this is what he's putting in, what he's what we all as a group have also like invented more or less here, and also wanted to initialize here. So an environment of where hard work is valued, and this is also the only answer. And this is also like our handwriting in going forward. Still smart and using also all the also all the knowledge and also intelligence and artificial intelligence in order to use this and all perfect work in terms of assessment and whatever. But still, hard work is the answer. Yes.
I couldn't help but notice you mentioned artificial intelligence there. Can you give us any idea as to how you involve AI in your daily work?
Yes, in terms of okay, it's not like okay, I have a look and oh, he looks fatigued or he looks ready to go. It's also like we do blood tests every day. We use also more or less like of course also laptops and computers in order to have a look in the workload over a certain amount of days. We have more or less indicators of fatigue and recovery status, anyhow, where our doctors are a bit more specialist and our sports science are a bit more specialist. And one thing is for sure, it's not that the doctor or sports science picks a team, but I talk with them on a daily basis, and for that I always get their recommendations, and for that we then always try to be there with good decisions who plays and who will not play.
Great. Hi Daniel. Does the change, when you do change it to 3-5-2, does that bring difference in workloads for individual positions? I was thinking like running distances, for example.
Yes, definitely, because you can't really compare the positions. Also depends, of course, a little bit on which position you play. But of course, for example, then for the wing backs, it's a bit more covered distance than perhaps for a fullback who is also a winger in front of him. And the same more or less for striker position, or it's a difference for Noah if you play as a second striker or you play on the wing, and it's a bit different. Not always just from the total distance, but also like from the numbers of sprints or high intensity, and this is also what we're looking in, and this is what I mentioned also with artificial intelligence, also to have a look there if a player is perhaps right now overperforming over his average, and this is something you have to keep in mind. Yes.
So is it helpful then that there's no game on Boxing Day, or are you a traditionalist who wishes that there was this year?
I think for the families, also for the staff, it's quite good that we don't have to spend a night again in the hotel, because I think the last years it was always like away game, and then Christmas Day, you train, you travel, you spend the night in the hotel. I'm not sure if this. So boxing, I love Boxing Day. It's great, but this part of Boxing Day that we just can't just show up for the game. It's more like we have to prepare for it. This is something that is, in this business sometimes also a bit difficult for the families, because you're not working with robots, you're working with human beings, but you also use it, and don't complain about this, because it's a pretty privileged life to lead as a football player, and for that I wouldn't allow any moaning about this. But I also quite like right now that we have perhaps a bit more time also for the families. If it's helpful for us, I'm not sure, because I think the more exhausting and the more tiring the schedule is, the more I prefer it, because just also from the data, we are one of the fittest sides in this league, and I think the tougher the workload is, the more advantage it is for us anyhow, because we are a very fit side and we can recover also pretty quick. I'm not sure if it's really an advantage for us in general, but we take it anyway, like it is, and for that we're looking forward also to have at least a bit more time. We'll also train during this day, so we can't allow around Christmas to have 2 or 3 days off. But it's of course a bit more relaxed if you can also spend some time at home with the family. Yes.
Hi Daniel. We've seen what Dominic can do on the pitch, but can you just speak to a bit more about his impact off it? I know you've mentioned before how he sometimes in training, for example, gives advice to youngsters. So just what impact has he had on the dressing room?
Yes, he's a very experienced player, and everyone knows that he has so many games on Premier League level, that he scored so many goals, and he also has caps for England and scored also a proper amount of goals there. So when he speaks about the game, when he gives recommendations, especially also to offensive players, but even also like to defensive players, because Yeah, it's also sometimes good to hear more or less the insight from the strikers game anyhow. Then everyone listens and everyone is on it, and he has also a good feeling if sometimes you have to make sure that the intensity in the training sessions doesn't drop, or you have to be a bit more on it. And he's also an age and also with the quality that he has, he's also allowed then also to make sure that together with our leaders in the group, to make sure that the quality doesn't drop and he leads then the group. So this impact is also quite important. And also in my conversation with him, I spoke about this topic. I want him also to overtake the responsibility, and this comes then also along with some expectation that I also expect that he overtakes more and more this role, and he does it still in a smart way because he's an intelligent player. It's not like from the first day he came in and then he said, okay, I explain you how football works. He knows exactly. It's more like at first you have to deliver, and then you can influence also these things more and more. And right now, after he is more and more involved and delivers top performances, he develops also more and more into a leader within the group.
Sure, great. How do you view the number of strikers in your squad? Because you've essentially got 4 options at the moment, as well, established options. Now you've got Harry as well, but with Noah, who can also play up top. So given that you're playing 2 up top a bit more often, is 4 the right amount? How do you feel about the number of strikers that you've got in the squad at the moment?
It's always good to have options and also perhaps a bit different options in terms of you have perhaps a quick, a mobile striker or more physical striker can hold the ball. It's good when you can mix it up. Sometimes also once you play with 2 up front, perhaps even with a number 10 type behind one striker. We haven't done that much anyhow, but it's also possible, and it's good to have different options. But on the other hand, it's important that you have a good balance, that the group is not too big, because one of our strengths is also that we have a good spirit, a good unity in the group, and this also depends on that everyone is really needed. So I'm not a believer in you have a group of 35 outfield players, and if you don't deliver, then you're sitting for 8 weeks on the stand anyhow. So you need also a tight group in order to create this togetherness. And for that, I don't need 8 strikers just to have more options and to work more with fear and pressure. I think, as you know, so everyone is also more or less there with a good performance if you feel also valued and needed. It's more or less in each and every job the same, and we need to find a good balance in these terms. But also, again, I wouldn't interpret too much into right now we have a new base formation system and we always play 2 up top. And this is a key. This is a reason. Yes, it was in several games the key. Yeah, but in the last game, for example, we have also scored the goal, the equalizer, when we changed to 4-2-3-1. And the goals against Liverpool were also coming, all 3 goals, when we've changed back to 4-man formation and also to a 4-3-3. So it's not just up to the base formation. It's more like it's good that we are capable to be flexible. It's good that we can react also to different developments, also to be proactive in these terms, also sometimes to surprise an opponent. And for that, I think we have a good size of the group, and also at the moment in terms of numbers, definitely on each and every position, also enough players.
We're going to move on to the embargo section if we can turn cameras off.